guys, welcome back to Loft Sports. I'm Tyler.
I'm Seth.
Today we're going to be coming at you with our New Year's 6 bowl projections, including the college football playoff. Please continue to like our page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. As always, video recommendations are welcome, as well as trash talk. Nobody likes bandwagon fans, so go ahead, stop the video, comment with your favorite team below, because we're going to tell you which teams are going to be playing for the big bowl games at the end of the season. So this week, the coaches poll actually came out, and earlier this week, we also released our each individual top 25 preseason rankings. What takeaways did you have from that?
My biggest thing was that Ohio State was number 5. Now, I know I got some slack from a couple people for putting Ohio State down at 11. I will say I do have them winning the Big Ten. I just thought maybe before the season, new quarterback without Urban Meyer, maybe they wouldn't be so high as 5. That was probably my biggest takeaway. I had them maybe around the 8 to 11 range or so. That's kind of where they fell on my poll. Nebraska not being ranked, that was surprising.
A little bit.
Because I don't think it's me being a homer to say that they're kind of the story of the Big Ten outside of Ohio State and Michigan right now. They were picked by the Big Ten media to win the West, and they're not ranked, which was surprising, but I get it. We have to earn it, everything like that. So those were kind of my 2 big takeaways. What did you take away from it?
Nebraska not being ranked was interesting.
Yeah,
but I don't know if
15.
I did. I think we both had them around that 15 to 20 range.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you saw Scott Frost tweeted, though, that he left his team out of his own top 25 poll because he wants them to earn it as well. So I think the media is kind of on board with that.
I think, too, Nebraska's had too many years, especially since joining the Big Ten, where this was supposed to be the year that it wasn't a letdown, and unfortunately it's been letdowns more than not. And I don't think the media trusts us more than the fans do at this point.
Also, a lot of SEC teams toward the top. I think nobody's really surprised by the top 10.
Yeah.
I actually had the top 10 perfectly right.
Yeah, you were pretty good, the top 10 teams.
Just a little out of order. So there's our preview on the rankings. So that's a little bit of input about the preseason, but as we know, that doesn't really matter. Let's talk about what does matter and where these teams are going to be at the end of the season. Let's go ahead and get into our preview of the New Year's 6 Bowl. We'll save our playoff for last. Let's start with the Rose.
Yeah, Rose Bowl. I got Ohio State versus Oregon in that. I think both the teams are going to be very well deserving of getting there. I think they're going to just barely miss out on playoffs. I'd probably have them the way my rankings kind of fell, in between 4 and 6 or 5 to 7, kind of in that range. So 2 very deserving teams. That's who I got in the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl is going to be a Big Ten Pac-12 matchup.
As always.
The conference champions are tied in unless they make it to the college football playoff. I actually have Michigan against Washington State. Now that gives away a little bit of my Pac-12 champion. I don't have the Cougars winning the conference if you watched our Pac-12 video, so maybe that gives a little bit away about Oregon. But I do have Michigan as the Big Ten champion, and then the next best Pac-12 team, Washington State.
Fair enough.
Moving on now to the Cotton Bowl. This one doesn't really have conference tie-ins. It's the group of 5 best representative against an at-large team. Who do you have there?
There I have Nebraska and Houston. I think Nebraska, just the way the year is going to fall, I think they're going to be well deserving of having a New Year's 6 game, something that we haven't been in a very long time. I think this is the year, and I think Houston's going to be the best group of 5 team.
I actually agree with you there on Houston. I was torn between Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. UCF, I don't think they're going to have the tools to make it back for a 3rd year, even though former Notre Dame quarterback Brandon Wimbush is going to be running the offense there this year. I'm kind of excited to see how he does.
Why not?
But I don't think UCF, year 2 removed from the Scott Frost culture, I don't think they're going to get back 3 years in a row. I'd be very impressed if they did. I have Houston against Oklahoma in that game, so an at-large Big 12 team there. The next one on the list is the Sugar Bowl. This is SEC against Big 12. No matter what, who do you got there?
There I got Oklahoma and Florida. Florida is actually my 3rd place SEC team. Oklahoma is going to be my number 2 Big 12 team, so maybe that gives a little peek, kind of like what you did earlier, where I'm going with the Big 12 there. But that's who I got. That's going to be a great game. I remember some of those Oklahoma-Florida games.
Played for a national title.
Yeah, Tebow and Sam Bradford going against each other. That was a great game. So it'd be cool to see those two match up again in that setting.
I actually have the same thing. I think Florida, being out of the SEC, has a really good year.
Absolutely.
Oklahoma, I'm sorry, I actually have Texas winning the Big 12. So I actually have Texas against Florida in this Sugar Bowl matchup. Okay. Texas, I think, will win the Big 12. We talked about it in our Big 12 video. I think they beat Oklahoma in the regular season and in the rematch in the championship game. And then Florida comes out of the SEC. So Texas and Florida in the Sugar Bowl. And then lastly, the Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl. Little Catholic versus convict action here. Notre Dame and Miami is who I got.
Wow.
I don't know if you caught our ACC video, but I like Miami. Probably spent a little too much time talking about that in that video, but I do like Miami. I think they're going to be the best representative of the ACC. That's not going to be in the playoff. Clemson's, I think, going to be, we'll get to that in a minute, but they'll be right there as the number 2 team from the ACC, so I think they get a tie in there.
Okay. I think Notre Dame does make it to a New Year's 6 bowl, most likely because of the tie-ins. If we do, it'll be the Orange Bowl, just because the other conference alignments, they like to keep those matchups pretty traditional. So I do have Notre Dame. I think 10 wins could get us there or better.
Yeah, with the schedule you guys play, I mean, maybe not playoff this year, but you guys are still going to have a really
schedule.
good year.
I think we'll have a good year. 10, 11 wins would get us into this bowl game. I have us playing Michigan State out of the Big Ten. A little bit of a surprise there. Michigan State very good on defense. I have the Spartans and the Irish squaring off in Miami. All right, so that's our take on the New Year's 6 rundown. Now let's get into the actual playoff games. This year it's the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. What are your matchups?
Yeah, so in the Peach Bowl, I have the matchup we've seen for, I guess this would be 5 years in a row. Clemson versus Alabama. I think Clemson's going to be the number 1 overall seed. I have them going undefeated, unblemished during the regular season. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to win the Heisman. I'm really high on Clemson this year. If you caught our SEC video, I think that Georgia's actually going to beat Alabama.
So that knocks Bama to the 4 line.
Exactly, but that's who I have in the Peach Bowl. Clemson versus Bama. Who I have winning that game? Clemson.
Okay.
I got Clemson winning that one.
Okay. My matchup there is also Clemson as the 1, but I have Georgia. I think Georgia finishes 2nd in their own division to Florida at 11-1 because of the head-to-head loss. But because Georgia sits out the SEC title, Bama runs the table, beats Florida. Georgia gets in as a 1-loss, non-conference champion because I have the Big 12 and Big 10 champs each with 2 losses. I actually think Notre Dame will be right there at 11-1, but Georgia will have beat Notre Dame, so the Dogs go to Atlanta, which is almost a home game for them. But I think Clemson is the better team, Clemson over Georgia to move to the national title.
Moving on to the Fiesta Bowl then, the other part of the semifinals this year, I have Georgia versus Texas.
Okay.
I think Texas is kind of a surprise pick there, but I really like how they're shaping out. I think another year with the momentum carried over. I really like Ellinger as their quarterback. He's not the flashiest guy in the world, but grit, that's what I'm saying. He's got the character you need at the position to lead a team. I have Texas winning the Big 12, and I got them in the playoff. I was kind of surprised when I was putting it together, but that's how it fell. I have them against Georgia.
Who wins?
In that one, I have Georgia winning. Okay, I think Georgia's just too talented.
Okay.
Texas deserves to be there. Next step needs to be taken, though, for them.
Okay. That's a pretty good step, though, for
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My Fiesta Bowl is Alabama against Oregon. A little bit of a geographic disadvantage here. Bama would be traveling, even though they're the higher seed because of just where the bowls are. But I don't think that matters. We've seen Bama go out west, up north, down south. They can win on any field.
The number 1 thing that always travels defense and then running the ball. Right. That's what their whole program is built on.
I think Alabama and Oregon would be interesting. It's not a matchup we've got a chance to see, but I don't think this is the Chip Kelly Oregon yet. And I don't know if they'll ever get back to quite that flash and dash. But I think Alabama, I always will take the more physical team and the physical versus finesse.
Absolutely.
Roll Tide over the Ducks, setting up, yet again, Clemson and Alabama in the national title. I have Clemson, Bama. You have Georgia, Clemson?
Georgia and Clemson. I have Clemson winning the national championship. It's just that simple. They have the best player in college football. They have the best... They have just the best momentum going on. They play an easy schedule, really. They're going to be undefeated all year. They're going to just ride that wave of momentum. I think they're too good for Georgia. Georgia's proven in the past that they can slip up. They've choked the last 2 years in a row, pretty much is what I would call it. So I got Clemson beating Georgia.
Okay.
Back to back.
I have Clemson over Alabama.
Yeah.
I think this is the passing of the torch. I said a couple years ago when Clemson knocked off Alabama that this was kind of the passing of from one dominant dynasty to another. I don't think Alabama's going away, but I think you can start to see that Dabo Swinney knows how to match Alabama and maybe even has now passed them.
Yeah.
The talent they are getting there is just ridiculous, and Trevor Lawrence could probably start for most NFL teams this coming season if he was eligible to have been drafted.
Exactly.
And he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, as soon as you get him this year, next year, it's almost unfair.
I think Clemson and Alabama are the two best teams. I think Georgia is close.
Yeah.
Georgia's close, but I think that Alabama and Clemson are just a little bit better. They're a little more in depth at their positions that matter in the trenches. Sure. I think Clemson takes it down. Back-to-back champions, 3 out of 4. All right, thank you guys so much. There's our final college football video before we kind of get into our weekly previews for the coming games. Yep. We're going to switch gears a little bit and transition into some NFL prediction videos coming up next. But please like our page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. As always, trash talk is welcome. This is Loft Sports, signing off.